Hi, today I'm going to show you how I actually cell shade for different projects that I do for the HarperCollins books. Using just Photoshop, I predominantly use the lasso tool, the gradient tool, and the color fill tool while working quite heavily with layers. For this particular tutorial, I will use this piece here to show how I achieve my process. So let's begin. What I've done here is I've created, as you can see in the layers window on the right of the screen, different layers that represent different elements of the piece. It's basically blocking out foreground character, background characters, background, etc. etc. Now, you might not be able to see, but I actually have two documents open. I'm actually switching between a reference guide file so that I can color pick from this guide to put the base color down on the actual workpiece. The color reference guide is something I've accumulated over the years working on these projects for HarperCollins. It's just so that I can keep all the main characters the same color scheme through each different Batman books that I work on. So I think you figured out that I'm fast forwarding now, so you don't get bored. I'm going to time lapse the process. Just basically doing the same color pick, select and fill until I have all the base color I want done for the piece. And I'm done, mainly for the main characters. I'll worry about the background later. So we're ready to begin highlighting the characters of the piece. So if you revert your eyes now to the layer window on the right of the screen, I'm setting up three different layers before I begin highlighting of a character. The first layer is set on the overlay effect on 80% opacity, second layer is set on overlay with 70% opacity, and the final layer is set to screen effect at full 100% opacity. I then choose the color white and select and fill parts of the character I want highlighted. Sometimes the color I choose is a bit of white or gray, just to give some variations in the highlighting. Because of the overlay effect set on the layer, the white chosen gives an overall highlighted look to the character with different colors on them. This saves you time of color picking different colors for a highlighted area. Alright, let's fast forward again. So from here, it's just basically a rinse and repeat of process until you're happy with the end result. To be honest, I've always felt like this is my cheat way of coloring, but it gets the job done in a relatively fast manner if you're, really tight on deadline or something. Things to keep in mind before you even begin highlighting is to know where the light source is coming from, or in this case, the light sources. As you can see, I've added a reddish tint to show lighting coming from the sirens of a police cars which are off-shot. Just like my other techniques of coloring, the base colors are set at a darker tone to establish them as shadows. Of course, you can add more shadow from there as required. And here we have the characters completed. So we're going to move on to backgrounds now. Like what I did for the characters before, I'm now simply coloring the base color for each building. I have different techniques to doing backgrounds. Sometimes I tend to paint the background, but I found this particular way to be the most time efficient. Again, just mainly using the Photoshop tool, the backgrounds will be completed using a combination of select, gradient, and the masking tool. Like the characters, I'll be using layer effects to my advantage. So what I'm doing here is creating a layer with overlay effect and keeping it at 100% opacity. And this layer is the one I highlight over. But unlike the characters where I use fill color to get my highlights, I'll be using the gradient tool for the backgrounds to get a nice smooth transition from light to shadow. Doing it this way, it also provides a nice contrast between the character and the background. I guess you can tell that I've fast forward again. In any case, I continue to highlight the rest of the background until I'm happy with it. Once that's done, I go to that layer where I was highlighting. I create a mask for the layer and I start deleting or subtracting bits that I think have harsher shadows. What I'm doing also, which you probably can't see, is adding more highlights to bits I think more light will hit on. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, guys.